Hello dear viewer, in today's mod Spotlight we will take a look at the new improved version of Byzantine Imperials, this time with much better integration into the game and with a Latin name of Ruina Imperii or Imperii. Like its predecessor, Ruina Imperii adds armors and a few weapons based on the late Roman era. A lot of the remarks I made in the Byzantine Imperials video still apply, but every single armor is redesigned, mostly with a lot more detail, and also better armors are unlocked with better smithing perks. Much like Byzantine Imperials, you will have two ESP files, one adding the items only to the crafting menu at a forge, another also distributing armors among Imperial legionaries and officers. Generally, I would say the quality of the new items, graphical quality I mean, is uneven. Let's start with the more questionable ones. So, all the chainmail armors, probably the weakest point of the mod. They flicker and often clip through other textures used on the given armor piece. Speaking of which, there seems to be a little bit too much clipping overall, especially at the lower back end of some chest pieces. There are also some tunics acting as light armor, which I actually like quite a lot, and they are definitely more detailed than they used to be in Byzantine Imperials. These tunics, as well as the light Imperial armor and leather Imperial armor introduced by Ruina Imperii, seem like a nice choice for various archers, scouts and knight blades. However, even though the level of detail improved, they are still a little bit too clean for Skyrim in my humble opinion. My favorite one is the Penitus Oculatus tunic, and it's also the one where you can see the difference the most, as it uses a vanilla asset for the shoulder cape, and you can see it being rugged and weathered against the fresh snow-white tunic fabric. Still, some characters can be allowed to wash their clothes, I guess, even in Skyrim. As we advanced up the smithing tree, the better armors will be unlocked, and most of them also look the nicest. Every scale armor introduced in the mod has its steel version and its Dwemer version, and the Dwemer actually look the best. Scale armors, by the way, also improved since Byzantine Imperials, but at a closer look they still look a little bit more like someone painted the scale pattern on a smooth surface, not like actual scales. With the dwarven colors, however, with the dwarven coloration and a little bit of shades of grey, it looks much better and believable than the scale texture at least. The Imperial dwarven helmets are also very good, and speaking of which, generally the helmets in this mod are brilliant. Most of them on par with the best armor mods on Nexus. Detailed, properly weathered and dented, very believable and sturdy looking and practical. And honestly, if you don't like the armors as a whole, download Ruina Imperii for the helmets and use the Blacksmith Edition ESP to avoid distribution. With something like realistic armors by Nordor, you can create a lot of interesting, historically believable and realistic combinations. Ruina Imperii also adds a few weapons, a handful of Imperial swords, a crossbow and a spear. The spear is actually a staff, which is a weird way of implementing it, but at least it doesn't require any animation modding. But on higher difficulties, it means it won't really do much, so you probably will just have to ignore the spear. The swords, for the most part, rather nice looking, also much better than the weapons for Byzantine Imperials were. The pommels and handles look like they could use some more details and more work overall. The blade part, however, much improved, much more believable, much more like a metal blade, still a little bit plasticky and bright light, but much less so than they used to be. Also, there is a retexture of the Emperor's robes in the mod. These robes now seem like something perfect for a weird Byzantine mage. So overall, Ruina Imperii seems like it could use some more work, but definitely is a step up when compared to Byzantine Imperials. It has some of my favorite helmets on Nexus. It provides you with some very Byzantine, colorful fashion options. It has armors suitable for a variety of builds, and given the sheer amount of armor pieces it introduces, chances are very high you will find an interesting combination, even if at first glance the mod doesn't really strike your fancy. Yeah, I know, the Byzantine/late Roman style is not something people fall in love with easily. I think it's because it's not properly explored in the popular culture, so it doesn't really ring any bells. Still, go download this with realistic armors by Nordor and you will have your Skyrim feel grounded real and also fashionable and diverse in style. My personal favorite combination from this mod alone is the Imperial Officer's Cuirass, craftable with the Daedric Smithing perk unfortunately, and Imperial Officer's Dwarven Helmet available with the Dwarven Smithing perk. I should perhaps also mention shields. Shields are okay in this mod overall, very colorful, slightly too big to avoid clipping when shield charging, but there is one smaller, round one, which goes well with pretty much every armor from the mod and I imagine many other mods. If I was to design Skyrim, I would definitely want to introduce some late Roman aesthetics. It is oddly fitting and that's why I really like to talk about these mods. So overall, wonderful helmets, far from wonderful chainmail armors, pretty nice shields and swords, a lot of fashion possibilities, smooth integration with the game's world and mechanics, and I do hope the mod will be developed further and its small problems will be fixed, because we are getting closer, guys, to the perfect Byzantine mod. Maybe one more step upwards and we can start some Byzantine hype in the Skyrim community. Alrighty then, that is it for now. If you want more mod reviews and maybe some Skyrim builds, hit the subscribe button with passion. And also hit the like button and generally just hit all the buttons around the video. Possibly also leave a comment. We shall see each other again. Bye. Bye.